Welcome everyone. My name is Steve Clark. I'm one of the learning leaders at CBe-learn. And with me tonight is...
Yeah, my name is Lisa Stewart. I am also one of the learning leaders for the junior high program, and we are happy to be here with you tonight and share a little bit of information about our program and hopefully answer any questions that you might have. Adrian is saying that maybe the Q&A doesn't show up on a mobile device. That's very possible.
That may be the case. Yep. So feel free to just ask questions in the chat, and we'll just answer them as we see fit.
As they pop up and as works for our presentation, for sure. We'll for sure answer those though.
Absolutely. The only reason really, so tonight we're recording the session so that we can then share it afterwards. And it just gives us a cleaner, if we leave the questions till last, you'll have a much more open forum. We will stop the recording, or we won't include the end, the Q&A session. And we will just have the information part shared in the recording. So here we go. Okay, so we just wanted to start by saying that CBe-learn Junior High, we actually pride ourselves on providing a flexible and caring, safe and engaging online environment for our students. So we have a number of different students, a number of different learning needs in our school, and we do our very best to engage all of our students in a way that suits them, in a way that is meaningful to them. So it's something that we work really hard at, and there are a lot of different reasons why students come to us. And so hopefully tonight you'll learn a lot more about what we provide and who we are, and if our junior high is a good place for your child. So just a bit of an agenda for tonight. We're going to give you an overview of our program. We're going to give you an insight to who our students are, so what makes a good online student, or what makes what our students need to do while learning online. We'll talk about a partnership between parents and students and teachers. We're going to look briefly at the technology that our students need in order to be successful. We're going to talk about the tools that we use at CBe-learn. We're going to take a quick look at what a day in the life of a junior high student looks like at CBe-learn. We're going to talk about homeroom, our complementary program, some of the other learning experiences that we offer at CBe-learn, and also about clubs. And then we'll finish the night off with some Q&A, an opportunity for you to ask a question. And we're going to pack that all into 45 minutes.
Yes, we will.
That's right. So just to give you a bit of an overview of our program, and Lisa and I are going to bounce off each other here, so don't think I'm not going to be talking the whole time. So we offer a full junior high experience for grades 7 to 9 students. We are aligned with a regular calendar from September to June. As of this coming year, all CB schools will actually be aligned with the September to June calendar. There will no longer be an all year or all round. What's it called?
Year round.
12 months. Yeah, year round program, or the alternative calendar. We follow the Alberta Education Curriculum Program of Studies. We have certified and experienced teachers. Currently, all of our teachers have been teaching with online for at least, the very least, 2 years. We have some teachers that have been here for many, many years. So we have a really big range of teachers, and they're all certified teachers. And on that note, we actually don't have any support staff that work with students. The online program is a little different to brick and mortar or in-person schools. We do have a few people that work behind the scenes in our office. We have a student services team. Lisa is one of those key people in our team that looks after the needs of our students, and then looks at different ways that we can support our students. We have daily interactive live or synchronous classes that we'll go into that a little bit later when we talk about a day in the life. Our courses are well organized and easy to navigate. If your student happens to be coming from the elementary program, it is a change jumping to junior high. We do use some different technology. We will share that a little later tonight too, what that is. We make sure that our program is flexible. We said before that we have students that come to us for a variety of reasons. Therefore, we have a very flexible program, and our goal is to provide a program that all students that come to us will be successful in. There is a weekly student work schedule, or part of the live classes that students will get used to very quickly. We have field trips, guest speakers, different learning events, much like an in-person school. And there are also leadership opportunities for our students.
Excellent. Yep, definitely a great overview. And we'll go into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty now. We would like to talk to you a little bit about who our students are. Our students are quite a diverse group. Some of our students come to us because they are aspiring athletes or models and also working towards goals in addition to their educational goals. We have lots of students who maybe struggle in a more traditional setting because of anxiety. They would like to have their learning environment in a safer, secure space that they have in their own homes. But at the end of the day, wherever you fall in that spectrum of student, we really pride ourselves on our flexibility, our ability to create safe spaces for students to learn a traditional curriculum. Lots of our students come to us for varied reasons, but many of our students stay with us because of their ability to have a little bit more self-direction and have that experience of a school without walls. Yes, please do feel free to ask any questions, and we'll do our best to answer them. An important partnership that we rely heavily on is that communication and that support between parents, teachers, and students. Parents and guardians play a pivotal role in our program because, as you can imagine, as much as we try to communicate with students and reach out to students, that support is a bit distant because we're on a computer. We don't have the ability to sit shoulder to shoulder with a student and work through some of those educational tasks or instruction. And so we do count on parents and guardians to support their students in scheduling their time, setting up their space, and a variety of other ways that we will talk about parental and guardian support. But it's important to know that we do rely on that partnership between the three parties involved. So specifically, students and the responsibilities that fall on the student's shoulders is to create a healthy learning plan and a schedule. So as Steve indicated, we do have student schedules that we share that includes the schedule for live synchronous classes. But the student is also required to create their asynchronous learning schedule as well. Again, that's something parents and guardians can help with at home, but it's just making sure that we have the opportunity for students to learn both synchronously and asynchronously. A lot of learning happens for students outside of that synchronous class time. We do expect students to attend daily Google Meets in all of the different classes. And also demonstrate their learning by engaging, like I said, in those synchronous and asynchronous classes and tasks. The asynchronous pieces are just as important, if not more important in some ways, than the synchronous classes. Another big part of student responsibility is that advocating for themselves, the communication that they have with teachers. Teachers are available in a variety of different ways, and I'll talk about that in a second, but it's also really important for students to reach out to their teachers if something comes up that they need a little bit extra support or they have any questions for clarification. We are available, but again, because we're not shoulder to shoulder with these students, we don't always know when they've run into a bit of a hiccup. So we really rely on the fact that the student has that ability to reach out and advocate for themselves. Perfect. Thanks, Steve. So the next slide talks about the teacher responsibilities. Some of them may seem obvious, but we'll go through them, of course. All of our teachers, as Steve has shared, are experienced and very capable and able to deliver the content appropriately. We create and manage dynamic, meaningful course content each week. And we also make sure that that is relevant information. So although we are following the curriculum of studies, we also pull in current events and current things that are happening in the world around us. As teachers, we communicate with our students regularly. And when students reach out to us via private discussions or reaching out at the end of a Google Meet, we always make sure that we respond to them no later than 24 hours. Of course, if they reach out at the end of a Google Meet, we have that opportunity to speak with them in live time, set up a one-on-one tutorial if that's what the student requires. But even if we receive a message in private discussions, which is more of an asynchronous way of asking questions, we are very available and we always do our best to answer, like I said, in a maximum amount of time, 24 hours. Of course, we provide meaningful assessment for various learning tasks, different learning needs, and we host weekly synchronous classroom sessions, sometimes more than once a week, but definitely each subject area has at least a minimum of 1 day per week. Teachers also correspond with parents, and we encourage that as part of our partnership. We ask that students do not email us, but rather speak with us in private discussions within our course. We also ask that parents do not speak with us within the course in private discussions, but rather parents are asked to email. It helps us encourage that ability for students to advocate for themselves and also keep the lines of communication open with parents and teachers through email. Next slide. Okay, so again, a little bit I've already mentioned, but parents and guardians, we ask that you ensure your child has the required technical tools. We absolutely will talk about this a little bit more in depth, but as you can imagine, it's pretty hard to learn online if you don't have a desktop or a laptop. Tablets, smartphones, things like that are not ideal for learning online, so the required technical tools are necessary. As I also mentioned a little bit already, we really do rely on the fact that parents and guardians can help support the scheduling for students. As we know, lots of our students are still developing those executive functioning skills, that ability to make a schedule and stick to it. So we ask that you help your child plan out their schedule and follow up with questions and making sure that the student has indeed followed that schedule. Reviewing learning requirements weekly is also a really nice piece that if parents and guardians can support their children at home, it helps bridge that gap. The teachers will always post a weekly announcement on the homepage of every course indicating what is happening in that week. So maybe what chapter we're working on, any specific reading materials that need to be covered, certain quizzes or tests that might be coming up. All of that is shared on the homepage of each course, and we encourage parents and guardians to sit with their students and take a look at that at the beginning of each week. Maybe make a little bit of a schedule or a plan to ensure that the student has enough time to cover all of the required expectations. We really also encourage maybe a whiteboard or a big poster board that's close by the working area for the student as a visual representation of what their week might look like. We also ask that you regularly review your child's progress so there are no surprises, so that you can help keep things rolling, help keep things keep our students on top of things so that we can make sure that they're feeling successful. Sometimes when a student misses 1 or 2 assignments, they start to feel overwhelmed and they start to feel like they're falling behind. That makes it tough to continue the engagement. So that 3-way support between student, parents, guardians, and teachers is pivotal.
Great, thanks, Lisa. So technology, and this again is a shorter. We could talk a long time about each of these slides. So in short, students need a reliable internet connection. We do know that we have issues with networks and internet, Wi-Fi at home periodically, but generally students do need to access the internet every single day. They need their own laptop or desktop, or one that they can use for most of the day. We do find that when families have more than one student and they are sharing a computer, this can cause trouble, especially when it comes to meeting in our synchronous classes and also getting the work done every day. Lisa mentioned before that students who try to access and work on tablets and phones, we can say that we know from experience that a lot of these students they consistently struggle to meet learning outcomes. While you can do a lot of great things on a phone and a tablet, they really are not built as a robust learning tool like a computer can be. So a Chromebook, a laptop, a desktop computer is sufficient. We have lots of students that use Chromebooks. We do ask that students have a working webcam, speakers, and a microphone. We also suggest that if there is other people in the house that are going to be around during synchronous classes, that those students have a headset, a working or a separate headset and microphone. And that's recommended because they often will cut out noise in the background and focus on the person. And I wear one all the time. I wear hearing aids, so I actually have one on right now, and no one else can hear. And you can hopefully hear me a lot more than any of the background noise. So it definitely helps. Sound and good working mics definitely help a lot. And while we don't expect our students to use a camera all the time, I can tell you as a teacher that it's great. It's amazing to see the students every so often. So I encourage in each of my classes, I encourage students to put their camera on at least for a little while during the class. And just that connection that you make seeing someone face to face makes a big difference to the learning and teaching. And just before we go on here, Dolan asked a question about practical experience and demonstrations. We will talk about some other learning experiences a little later on, so we'll get to your question soon. The learning tools that we use in the junior high, our main learning management system, it's called Brightspace by D2L, commonly referred to by teachers and students as D2L. And D2L stands for Desire to Learn. So D2L is one of the most robust, fully built out learning management systems. And it has every tool imaginable that you can use in an online school. So it is an amazing tool. And that's where our online classes are housed. So if your students coming from the elementary program, grades 1 to 6 at CBe-learn are currently using Google Classroom. So that will be a pretty big change from Google Classroom to Brightspace. And our teachers know that. And so our grade 7 teachers work through that process. And we have courses that will help students get to know the platform in the first few weeks of school. So every student goes through that every year. We also have Google Workspace for Education. So that's Google Drive and all of the tools that go along with that, Google Docs, Google Slides, spreadsheet programs, and Google Meet, our main synchronous tool, so that our classrooms, our live classes are run in Google Meet. And then there are also other various CBe approved software tools, which are mostly web-based. Okay, we very rarely ask students to download anything, almost never actually. All of the tools that we use, we need to make sure that all students can access them. So there is always a tool that students can access if a teacher is using it as part of their lesson.
Excellent.
Lisa. Yep.
Okay, yeah. So a day in the life of a CBe-learn junior high student can look quite different from one student to the next, but we've shared here a couple of examples of what a day might look like for a student. The main message that we're trying to send with this snapshot is that we do ask that students are available for learning from roughly 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., just like in a traditional setting. We encourage our students to wake up at a good time, enough time giving themselves the opportunity to, I don't know, maybe have a shower, have some breakfast, get dressed. We do not encourage our students to join us with their head on their pillow, still in their pajamas, in their bed. So getting up and getting ready for the day of learning is a piece of the puzzle that works effectively. We have live sessions like we've already discussed. And you'll see on this little snapshot, the blue sections are predominantly the live session opportunities. So even though there are blue sections every day from about 9 till 1, we don't always expect students to be actively participating in a live synchronous session every single moment of that time from 9 till 1. We just indicate that there will be a time frame within those 4 hours that requires core course synchronous live sessions. So a teacher might say that group A, and your student would know what group they would be in. Group A is meeting from 9 till 10. A lesson is presented, and then the students in group A may be given the opportunity to go and work a little bit on their own asynchronously. The teacher might then teach group B from 10 to 11 and invite the other students to come back maybe for a small group later in the day. Every teacher does the scheduling a little bit different, and that gives everyone the opportunity to move and work around what some of their strengths might be. And also each course has a little bit different of a discipline. Math works well when you do a small mini lesson and have students have the opportunity to do a little practice, and then they return together as a group and do another little bit of a lesson. Whereas maybe English, for example, might require a larger chunk of time working together and a larger chunk of time working asynchronously. So you can see here that those blue sections are for the opportunity to meet in a live class. And then there's also little breaks in there with the orange bars, lunch break or screen-free 15. And then we have our CTF and art classes, as well as our health and phys ed classes in the afternoon, which would be indicated here by purple. Steve, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. So this is, as I said, this is built off this year's schedule. I just posted our current student schedule is on our website. I posted that for you to look at. Just because, and I just want to reiterate, just because there is a time that says social on Mondays, it doesn't mean that that student is online in a live class every block. So as Lisa mentioned, those are opportunities, and it depends on the teacher and depends on what's happening on that day. And we at CBe-learn, every year we tweak and we consider what worked well. We look at the needs of our students, and then we make changes that are necessary for the following year. So we at this point expect our schedule to look something like this next year. We can't say it'll look exactly like this at this point. So there is a lot of things to happen between now and September. And so, but whatever we do and however we change it, it's to improve things for students. So, but this gives you an idea, because that's probably one of the biggest things that we find that parents need to know is when students have to be working. And so that's probably one of the hardest things for the parents to get used to, right, Lisa?
So true, so true. And that's why I say we do ask that students are available during traditional school hours to do their work. They just might not be in a live class at every moment of those days. The other thing that's important to note, even though, as Steve said, we do not have our concrete schedule ready at this point for next year, once we publish that schedule before school starts in the fall, that schedule will be static. It won't change for the rest of the school year. So that's something that once you do see the schedule, that's what it'll be. We don't change it all willy-nilly on everyone. It's too hard to keep track of.
That's right.
Okay. Homeroom is a piece of our program that has been growing over the last few years, and we're finding the homeroom opportunity a valuable experience for our students. Basically, our students will be grouped into smaller sections with one of their core course teachers or one of their CTF and art teachers. And that homeroom is usually consisting of between 15 and 20 students. So the smaller group sizes really grant the opportunity for connection and relationship building with other classmates and with their teachers. That teacher, their homeroom teacher, can basically become like a mentor to the students. In homeroom, we don't have any kind of required coursework. We don't do an extra little mini lesson of science or social studies or anything like that. We really look at homeroom as a fun opportunity for our students and teachers to connect. There may be extra additional support provided if a student is requiring it, or if we notice that a group in general needs a little bit of a step up. But there will be no homework assignments, no marks collected during homeroom. We have homeroom period or homeroom class this year on Tuesday afternoons, once weekly. Again, those specifics will be shared out towards the end of the summer. We definitely have the opportunity for our homeroom teachers to work on IPPs, ELL, and specific student learning plans. And again, just that piece of connection is where we've seen the biggest benefit to the homeroom. Homeroom also is an opportunity to build our school culture by sharing in spirit days. We have little competitions between the homerooms, who dresses up with the most participation in whatever we're celebrating that day. It might be, it might be a winter celebration where everyone's wearing a cozy sweater, or maybe it's pajama day or something like that. Spirit days, jersey days, things like this. Homeroom is also a hub for all of our important school-wide announcements. So whether parent-teacher interviews are coming up, or photo days coming up, or the school dance is approaching, all of that information is shared through homeroom as well. This is a live class that we carry on with homeroom, but we also have access that students can go and share announcements that may have been presented during homeroom in an asynchronous way too, and they can show their families what's going on.
Awesome. And just one other thing that I just realized we didn't have on this slide is that for parents, the homeroom teacher is often and encouraged to be the first point of contact when you need to get in touch with one of your your child's teachers. So unless it's a specific question about math and you want to talk to the math teacher, a homeroom teacher is a great place to start off your communication. So the complementary program. So this is my passion and area of main work at CBe-learn. So the complementary program is our art and our CTF courses. So CTF stands for Career Technology Foundations. It is a program of studies that is often in some schools starts at around grade 5 and ends in grade 9. And it is a precursor to CTS, which is a high school. So CTS is Career Technology Studies, and that's when students start specializing in some of those what are traditionally called option classes. Options meaning a choice, not meaning optional. So they are a mandatory course that follow the Alberta Program of Studies. At CBe-learn, the way we do it is that each student, grades 7 to 9, will have 2 art courses a year and 2 CTF courses a year. Now it looks a little differently. It looks a little different for grade 7 than it does for grade 8 and 9. Mainly as a little bit of a we give the grade 7s a chance to kind of have a taste of everything. So the grade 7s do a rotation through 4 courses, 2 art, 2 CTF. And within those courses, they do kind of like a mini unit or a mini project on different. So in CTF, they look at different occupational areas. So they might look at 3D design, coding, and photography. And then they'll do an art course where they'll do graphic, digital art, contemporary art, and then maybe mixed media kind of thing. So it's really, for a lot of our students, the complementary program offers just a chance for them to relax and have some fun, and they don't really realize they're learning. In grade 8 and 9, once the students have experienced that rotation in grade 7, they have a chance to then choose their preferred courses for both CTF and art. Again, they do 2 CTF and 2 art. This year, we asked students to choose their top 3, and about 95% of them got their top 2 in each of those programs. So their top 2 art, top 2 CTF. So most students, just if they happen to choose some of the courses that are a little less popular, then there is a little less flexibility of when they can actually do those courses. But I think we had, I don't think we had anyone that really had a problem with how it worked. And we know that it's a highlight of many of our students' days, which is great. Lisa, so this is where we can ask. So Lisa, I don't know if you saw the question, but Dolan asked a question: how are practical experiments, demonstrations managed, like science experiments, lab work? How do students get a hands-on experience? So this is where we talk about it.
Absolutely, yes. So although our program is predominantly and heavily reliant upon the technology and our learning management system of Brightspace and D2L, we also have opportunities for learning experiences away from the computer. A point that we don't have on this slide is our health and phys ed team work diligently to get our kiddos away from the computers and out into, using the stairs in their houses or their balconies or the park and playgrounds nearby. And those learning experiences are much more hands-on and away from the computer. We offer field trips. At one point, our goal was to have 1 field trip per month. I think we have exceeded that by a landslide. Field trips are not mandatory, but they are an opportunity for kids to get out of the house, get away from the computer, connect with some of their classmates and their teachers in person, and experience some of the great opportunities that we have around the city. Field trips are in person. They are definitely something that you would need, not every week, but very close to it. Something that you as parents and guardians would need to support your children in attending in terms of getting them to the location. We don't do busing, as you can imagine. We have students joining us from all over the city. And so we ask that you meet us at the location of that field trip, and then we take it from there. So those field trips are many and rich and robust. Our guest speakers sometimes come in person, sometimes are presented in a way just like we're doing now. But again, it's somebody different to listen to, experts in our community that can share their wealth of knowledge with our students. Science labs and demonstrations are also held in person at our home school, which is Lord Shaughnessy. It is a high school, but we have lots of opportunities and lots of times for elementary, junior high, and senior high students to join us on site. Demos are also done on site, sometimes video recorded and posted in the class. So although these science labs, again, as I say, are not mandatory, we always try and record ourselves doing the lab that's happening in person, because then if half of the students are able to make it and half are not, they don't lose out on the opportunity to see what was happening. We really try and make this flexible, and the additional learning experiences, just as I say, they are in addition to their work online. Other school events take place as well. I think I mentioned a school dance. We have our winter celebrations. We've had carnivals. We've had lots of different celebrations. The end of the year celebration where we have a big barbecue and everyone comes out and we play lawn games, things like that. The learning experiences are not limited to the computer, if that is a question that some of you may have. We understand the concern that parents have and how the social piece of child development may seem like it could be lacking when you invite your children to learn online like this. And that's why we make these additional learning experiences very available to everyone. Little note at the bottom of the screen, like I said, transportation and costs for learning experience, in addition to those regularly scheduled classes, are the responsibility of each student and family. Of course, if cost is a concern, you let us know. We make sure that your child is not going to miss out because of any extenuating circumstances.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Just to add to the science lab and demonstrations, sometimes there's software that can be used online.
Yeah.
So we have a tool called Desmos that I think our math and science teachers use,
Yes.
and that gives students a chance to work through simulations that are online too, so to help understand concepts. So there are ways to do it. We just know that those in-person experiences can be beneficial in many different ways. And we have some students that I know have been to every single experience that has been offered
Yeah.
for their grade. We have some students that have been to none. So
That's right.
there's a great variety, and once again, it's one of those flexible things that we offer.
Mhm. And also a note on the additional learning experiences that are provided. Some of our students are considering joining online because they have a level of anxiety that doesn't always permit them to join in and fully participate in a traditional setting. So our additional learning experiences, say a field trip or whatnot, we're very open to the idea of students dropping in and managing that experience for as long as they can. What we find is sometimes students only show up for 5 minutes. Sometimes they show up for 10 minutes and then feel like, okay, I'm done, I need to go home. What almost always happens in all of those situations is if they try, they end up gaining their capacity, growing their capacity, and end up staying for longer and longer each time. And that's totally okay with us. There is a question here talking about art, phys ed, music, and how that's managed online. Health and phys ed is a robust program online, and we have it right from grades 1 to 12 for the physical education portion. They do run their program slightly different than being 100% focused online there, but they definitely bring their computers out to, the teachers bring their computers out to, a field and demonstrate. There's activity logs that happen daily. It's definitely a blend of hands-on active living as well as the computer. Steve, would you like to speak to the art piece?
Sure. Sure. Yeah. So we are the art and CTF team do offer. So we haven't actually this year, but we are going to be hopefully doing one before the end of the year. Some art field trips. Now those are experiences. They're not necessarily hands-on art experiences. Our art teachers, we have 2 this year. They do a big mix of digital art and also art that is done non-digital or analog or not on a computer. So they are very skilled artists themselves, and they have some great ways of doing that. Music, we don't currently offer music. That would be something that could be something that happens in the future. At this point, I think it's mostly about capacity. It would be a difficult program to run, and therefore someone asked us in the last session, do we offer wood shop or wood construction? We don't, and the reason is that it's very difficult safety-wise. It's very difficult to do that online in an online class. And because it would require a lot of in-person connections, which can be difficult for many families, we cannot offer a program that relies on those kinds of experiences. Those are seen as extra opportunities. In CTF, our classes are predominantly occupational areas that are digital, 3D design, graphic design. So most of our CTF classes, which are the ones that I teach, are digital based. However, we also offer food. So I'm currently teaching a foods class, and the students are cooking in their kitchen at home. Once they pass a safety test or some safety work, they are then cooking, hopefully under the guidance of their parents a little. But they are cooking at home and making a variety of different dishes that are easy enough for them to make. So hopefully that answers those kinds of questions. There are limitations. So basically there are some limitations that we have. Is music compensated by other learning? So I think by that question you mean, is it integrated into any other courses. That's a possibility. It's not something that we make mandatory, but it could be. But when it comes to instruments and students playing instruments, it's not something that we have lessons for as such.
Great. And just in
also,
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. This is your slide anyway, Lisa.
That's okay. I was actually going to speak to the last point about additional materials for art. Just as in any of our other courses, any kind of supplies that our students require, we give ample opportunity and time for families to collect the materials that are required. This happens in math. Sometimes you need a deck of cards or a set of dice. Science experiments that you can do at home require equipment. We always try and identify the need for those kinds of materials far in advance, and that they're very low cost or things that you might have around the house, the dollar store, the grocery store, things like that. But we always give ample opportunity. Okay.
Yeah, and there's also opportunities where when students can't get those or don't have access to those kind of materials, we always provide some kind of alternative, especially in art. And our art teachers are very good at making sure that their lessons are inclusive in many different ways.
For sure, for sure. So in addition to those field trips, guest speakers, science labs, things like that, we do have clubs and opportunities for extracurricular. So a variety, you can see the list here. It is not limited to this list, but we do have a leadership club where students from all grades 7, 8, and 9 come together. They create some of that school culture. They come up with some of those fun little competitions, and they also provide planning and opportunity for students to gather in person. We have art club, Minecraft club. You can read the list, the newspaper, outdoor pursuits, morning movement, GSA coding, just to name a few. I mean, we don't want to go on and on, but the idea of this list is to let you know that if your child has an interest, we probably have a club for that. And we definitely have a teacher supervising all of those clubs. We do have time built into our schedule. Help me, Steve, Thursday and Friday afternoons, I think. But also
for clubs. Yeah. They've ended up being almost every day after school. Some are at lunchtime during that lunchtime break, but almost we just couldn't make them all on the same 2 days. So we've ended up being almost every day. And I think our most interesting club, in my opinion, is that actually maybe not the most interesting, but one of the most basic. It's called the Grade 9 Chat Club. And all it is some grade 9s come together and they just talk and chat. Yeah.
Bring their lunches and
that's something that's actually something that grade 9s came to their teachers and asked for.
So they're looking to connect, right? And we're here to give them that opportunity. Right. A great question in the chat just came up about written and oral exams. Yes, there are written exams, there are oral exams, all of which are done online. The only in-person exams that are written at Lord Shaughnessy High School, it would be the provincial achievement tests, which happen in May and June, only for the grade 9s.
We are looking at how we might do something like gather some data at the beginning of the year around things like reading and writing for a number of different reasons, but we're looking at how we might do that. We know that not all students can come in, but there may be some different things that we try next year around that kind of work. So we do have another slide coming up for Q&A, but this is going to be the end of our recording. So we want to thank you all for coming. Hopefully this has been interesting for you and given you the information that you need. We will be sending this recording out to anyone that registered. We'll also be posting it online. And we will be offering one more session in June I believe it's Tuesday, June 6th at 6 o'clock. And it will be purely a Q&A sessions. So for anyone that wants to come back and ask a few more questions, Lisa and I will be back in the same space, different link, but it will be in Teams and we will be here to answer your questions.
Also, feel free to send us an email if you have a question before then or in the meantime. We're definitely available in that way as well.
Absolutely.